this list, or this topic, 9 necessary actions to climb the coaching ladder. This is my list. This just happens to be what I believe has worked for me. It happens to be what I've compiled. I kind of did it in order. I got a couple joking questions. Why did I pick 9 and not 10? I said, well, these are the 9 things I really, really feel strongly about. All right. The first thing for me, I don't know where this is for you. I hope it's on your list. Loyalty is the first piece that's very important as an assistant, a support staff member. However you guys want to climb the ranks, whether that's I always want to be a head coach, I want to be an assistant for the rest of my life, I want to understand varying levels, I want to understand varying places. Loyalty's got to be your number one. Biggest thing with loyalty, okay, it starts with the people that brought you there. If you're a sitting head coach, you better be loyal to your administration. If you're an assistant coach, you better be loyal to your boss. Okay, and in regards to how that affects your future, it should be a no-brainer in terms of wanting to be a head coach. If you're loyal to your administration, they'll endorse you to other administrations. They'll make sure that they're not roadblocks when you want to be a head coach at another place. When it comes to being an assistant coach, if you want them, when they get a new job, when they get a new opportunity at a bigger place, a place that pays more money, a place that might be a better situation for you, whether that's being closer to home or anything like that, have you done your job to make your boss understand that you are loyal to them? All right, and one very simple example with that, when you guys have group meetings, a MAC coach told me this a few nights ago, when you guys have staff meetings and you guys are throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks, and you guys are debating, and you guys are explaining why we should do this, why we should do that. At the end of the meeting, when you guys come to a decision, are you guys going to stay loyal to that decision in front of your team, in front of your fans, in front of the press, in front of recruits? All right? I think as young coaches, we forget at times that why we are serving our head coach. And we lose sight of the loyalty that's important there. All right, if you guys are supposed to, the example that was given to me, if you guys are supposed to handle ball screens, you're trapping every ball screen that you guys see to start off the game, and you go out there and the first time you try to trap a ball screen, your players give up a layup. And you yell across the court and say, Coach, we shouldn't be doing this. We got to get out of this. This isn't the right thing to do. You are not being loyal to your head coach. A couple more examples. Loyalty also matters and also evident when you have, as assistants, I'm assuming, raise your hand if you're an assistant in here. You have varying levels of relationships and buy-in from different players. And a lot of times you're going to create great relationships with players the same way, not the same way that your head coach will. So when they come into your office and they vent to you, whether it's about another teammate, whether it's about the head coach, whether it's about a decision, whether it's about playing time, are you turning over your shoulder and say, that's not me. You got to talk to the person in the big chair. That's not me. That's not my decision. I would love to see you play. I would love for you to be on the floor. If I was the head coach, you'd be playing more. If you're acting like that, you are not being loyal to your boss. You are not being loyal to the vision of your program. That's really, really hard because as assistant coaches, especially young ones, you want to be really, really accepted. You want to feel that you are needed. That's human nature, and it's definitely a part of being an assistant coach. And if you can't do that, you better find someone else to serve, or you better find something else to do. Okay, I truly believe that. Number 2, recruit your tail off. Recruit your tail off. I started out high school AAU, then I was an NAI coach, then I was a Division II coach, now I'm a Division I coach. The people I talked to 8, 9, 10 years ago, they helped me every level that I went through, okay? They helped me at every step of the way. The same people I asked for help recruiting-wise, for leads, for transfers, for ideas of AAU programs that might have a kid that's defecting from one school and is interested in transferring, looking for a better situation. All of those things start with building relationships in the recruiting process from day one when you're able to recruit. Okay, whatever your role is, whatever your limitations are, also depending on the level that you're at. Okay? Again, I'm just going to pick on her because she's in here. You could be at one institution, someone is leaving a Power 5 really good program that was going to come play for you, You take another job, and because of the relationship you built, because you recruited your tail off at quote-unquote a lesser conference or a lesser school, she's going to come and play for you at the new institution. So that's really, really important. You got to be really, really willing to do that for your program, for your boss, okay? My last boss always told our kids this statement: recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. And regardless of how good you think the kid is, if you played against them in high school, you played against them in AAU, you got to be willing to recruit 1 through 15 as a team, and 1 through 6, 1 through 7, whatever you have on your staff. Everyone has to be a part of that. It's not just a solo job, okay? Number 3, be honest with yourself. I think this is really important. This will change for you as time goes on. As you get older in your career, you gain more knowledge, you meet more people, you're able to entertain different job opportunities. You have to be honest with yourself. I would challenge all of you guys to write stuff down. Write stuff down, okay? Just saw another person in the crowd right here. We came up, same Division II league. Division I opportunity came, thought it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Wasn't necessarily what you thought it was going to be. Goes Division II, is having a much better time right now, from what I can tell, okay? You got to write down and understand what's important to you so you can look back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 7 years ago. Is this falling in line with what was important to me then? Here's another thing that ties into that. Maybe some of you enter into serious relationships later on in your career, and that's fine. Does that change what's important to you? My wife and I, we just had our first kid this year. We have a 6-month-old at home. Does that change? It absolutely changes what is important to me now compared to what was important to me 8, 9, 10 years ago. All right, but you have to be honest with yourself about those things. Okay, you have to be honest with yourself about, I only want to coach at the Division I level. Well, why? Why? Do you know why? Do you know why you're saying that? Do you know why every time you meet a coach and you want help with a job, do you know why you're telling them that? Okay, be honest with yourself. If that's really, really what's important to you, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be aware of that. And you can only be aware of that if you're able to compare past to present, okay? Number 4, get better. Get better. As you figure out what's important to you, you'll know who your strongest influences are in the coaching game, all right? Sherry Cole said this on What Drives Winning. She said, your greatest influence as a young coach is usually the loudest coach in your ear. Maybe it's the best person that ever coached you. Maybe it's your high school coach that you're strongly related to, that you feel their drills, their scheme, their plan, how they developed relationships, maybe that was the best for you growing up, okay? That's absolutely a positive thing. Take what you want from those influences and keep the important ones with you, and then kind of ask questions about the stuff you're unsure about, all right? A part of that as well, challenge yourself to reach out to others that have good ideas in the basketball world, things that maybe you couldn't defend when you were a coach at your lower level. Maybe there's offensive sets that when you were a player, you're like, man, I really wish coach ran that for me, and I love that that school's doing it now. Challenge yourself to find other people in the industry that can make you better by being able to ask them questions, all right? A couple other things that you can do that I don't think cost you a lot of money or take a lot of time, all right? DVDs, buying different DVDs, instant downloads, things like that, reading different books. If you don't like to sit down and read a 200-page book, find 200 one-page articles that you're willing to read, all right? Or my boss and I now, we do the audiobook thing. We're always listening when we're on the road recruiting, when we're driving, when we drive back from here to NIU, we'll be listening, I'm sure, for a little bit to something. And the 2 latest ones that we've read, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team and Start With Why by Simon Sinek. But those are easy ways for you to help yourself get better, to challenge how you think, all right? A couple conferences that I think are pretty good. What Drives Winning, like I said, there's one every spring in St. Louis, Missouri. Moving Up, it's on Duke's campus. It's $80 this year. It's a 2-day event. If you guys can get there, that's very reasonable to meet a lot of people, kind of ask questions about yourself and learn more about the profession. I think it's a good thing that I'm going to try to get to sometime. State coaches clinics everywhere I've worked: Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Iowa. We've got the IBCA, the MBCA. Do you go to your state's clinics? They'll usually bring in big-time speakers from the men's and women's side, sometimes professional ranks. Are you taking the time to try to get better in that regard? Maybe they'll talk about how they just do player development, which is really important to you. Maybe they'll talk about how they've built their program from the ground up, or maybe it's simply something to challenge what you guys think or believe in X's and O's wise. For me personally, the best thing I've ever gone to X's and O's wise, I've been to 2 coaching U's, the Kevin Eastman stuff, NBA stuff. I think it's really helped kind of give me a solid foundation for what I think I like X's and O's wise. It helps us with our team when we're discussing offensive schemes and things like that. It's the best basketball conference that I've been to myself. Another thing with getting better, go if you can, if your boss will let you, if you again have the time, can you go and work other people's summer camps? Okay, can you go see how they run camp, see how they interact as a staff, all the little things, little nuances that you might learn from going out of your comfort zone to a place where you don't really know anybody and seeing how they do things. The drills they do with their campers, are they the same drills that they do with their players at the Division I level or whatever? And then can you steal some of those drills, right? And again, it's also going to help you in terms of preparing for maybe one day you're going to have to run camp. Next one, number 5, really important to me. Build genuine relationships. This is my replacement for networking. I hate the word networking. That's just a personal preference, okay? The longer I've been in the game, I hate when I meet someone, usually a young kid, and this isn't all kids, but I hate someone who you can clearly tell is trying to use you to get their next job. They want nothing to do with who you are. They want nothing to do with truly learning about you. Not that matters, that they have to want to be your best friend. But if they're clearly contacting you and only hoping that you can help them in the future, that is not building a genuine relationship. Okay? And that takes time. That takes numerous calls, texts, emails, little things. I know a lot of people, hey, I'm kind of shy. I don't really know how to do that. When you play against someone, maybe you see an out-of-bounds play that you really, really like. Email them about that. Maybe you see a recruit that they've gotten from from an AAU program that you've never touched, and ask them, hey, what's the in? Is it Coach so-and-so? How did you get that person? Did you go all high school? What did you do to create a relationship that is genuine with that recruiting person? And without you knowing it, while you're doing that, while you're asking those questions, you're also creating a genuine relationship with that person. Okay, but even down here, I've been contacted by several kids who have just been point blank when I meet them, I want to be a Division I coach. Can you help me? Can you help me with that? Because you went high school, NAI, D2, D1 in 7 years. Can you help me do that? Nobody, I know there's some vets in the room. Nobody wants to be used just for that. That's not how you do it. That's not how you go about it, okay? Number 6, find a mentor. Find a mentor. Everyone's going to have many mentors, right? Tying back into, that's who I played for, that's who I currently work for. I challenge you to find one mentor who is currently a sitting coach in the women's basketball game, so not a retired person, that is not affiliated in any shape or form with your program or the people you work with. The reason I believe that's important is you got to find someone who understands and has a pulse on women's basketball right now, understands what's going on from coaching millennials, the culture, all that kind of stuff, leadership, X's and O's. But if they're not associated with your program at all, they can be honest with you about what you need to get better at and what you need to develop in order to stay relevant and be a part of this game. And it starts with reaching out and caring for that other person and building something meaningful from day one, not just trying to use someone to get something to help yourself, okay? But the mentorship piece is huge, because how are you really going to know if what you're doing is working for your program or is working for what you need to be doing in the scheme of your program's goals, right? Sometimes it's going to be too late. Sometimes you're the recruiting coordinator and you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of and to give you advice genuinely and honestly for whatever that reason may be, and you're not going to know that you weren't doing a good job until coach hires someone else to replace you and you're no longer the recruiting coordinator. Okay, don't leave that to chance. Ask yourself tough questions and find people to help you out. 7, mirror and emulate. Mirror and emulate. This, I use that phrase for mirror and emulate other people in your department. Okay? 2 offices down for me, women's volleyball at NIU has been really, really successful. They competed for a MAC championship for the last 11 years. Okay? Football at NIU, really, really successful. Played in the Orange Bowl 4 years ago. Are you guys going into their offices, building genuine relationships with them to be able to mirror and emulate stuff that has been positive and successful for them at your institution? I challenge you to try to do that. That's really hard sometimes because you guys feel like we're all siloed off. I'm so busy at what I have to do. I am so busy doing stuff that only matters to me, so how am I going to find time to go do that with the football staff, the men's basketball staff, whatever, whomever that may be? I challenge you to do that because, for instance, we've picked up a lot of stuff. We're lucky we have an assistant coaches group at NIU. It's run by only assistant coaches go. It's brand new, so we only had 1 meeting. The 2 things that came up that I thought was really, really good. 1, what do we all do recruiting-wise? Okay, how do you guys recruit? What recruit mailings do you send? Why? What do you guys showcase? Who do you talk to across campus? Who's your go-to admissions person that's really going to help? Who's your admissions person that you know is not going to help and we need to avoid, right? What tour routes do you take of DeKalb, Illinois, of NIU? How do you bring people around? Why? What do you show? Where do you take them for dinner on official visits? Why? Okay, Jan Jensen from Iowa told me this story. The Iowa football team, they often want to recruit guys from communities where it's not really safe, right? So they go to Iowa City in order to showcase that, hey, it's really safe. So they want to show mom and dad it's really safe here. They'll stop at like an academic building or a dorm, and they'll leave the car running with the windows down. So they pull up with a recruit, and then they're starting to walk in. The recruit, their parents are like, are you sure you're going to do that? If we were on wherever, the south side of Chicago, that car's going to get stolen. Like, no, Iowa City's real safe. Everyone wants to go to college in Iowa City. Nobody's going to steal our car, right? It hasn't happened yet, so I still think they use the practice, okay? So, but again, I wouldn't have known that. She wouldn't have known that unless she talked to Coach Ferentz about what Iowa football does on their tours. And I challenge you to do the same thing. Number 8, work outside the box. Like I said, I've been high school, AAU, NAI, D2, Division I. Every step of the way, I tried to make sure that I was really, really cognizant of all the other levels of women's basketball. I was paying attention to Division III. I was paying attention to junior college. I was paying attention to Division II, Division I. I think that's really, really, in terms of climbing the coaching ladder, you don't know where your next best opportunity is going to be. You have to have your own personal pulse on what's going on in the state of women's basketball. If you care, and if you know you want to be in this for a long time. That'll help with a multitude of things. Recruiting, transfers, which is tied into recruiting. It'll help with, okay, I know where I got to go to recruit kids once I go to the next job or be at the next level. All those things. And also, it's going to help you grow the game, which is the underlying big picture with all this. Okay? The last thing I'll leave you with. Create an outline of a plan. Create an outline of a plan. Again, really, really hard. I challenge you to write it down. Again, with time, things will change. But I challenge you, if you really are super serious about staying in the game of college basketball and you want to, like I said, this talk is named Climb the Coaching Ladder, you guys have to have a skeleton outline of what you think are your benchmarks for progress, right? We give our kids who can't shoot or the kids we want to get stronger or get faster, we give them attainable goals that are measurable, right? The same thing should be said about your career. Obviously, you can't control what opportunities come your way, but this skeleton outline hopefully will help you be prepared for what you're going to do tomorrow and the next year.